Good afternoon. I call to order GCC board meeting. I think it is May the 16th.
May 16th.
Yes, at 4:45. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Harry Block,
Here.
Bruce Mandrick. Mr. Mandrick is out ill today. Thank you. Mr. Jack Turner
Present.
and Lily Campbell. 4 board members present, 1 ill today. Well, do we have any public comments?
We have no public comment.
No public comments. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see so many faces at our board meeting. We did this a few years back just on Zoom, and now it's great to look out and see everyone. So welcome, cabinet, welcome, staff. And to those of you who are watching us virtually, we appreciate you being with us and thank you. And so with that, we will now move into our superintendent's update.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, board and members of our public that's here. We want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the board meeting. I want to just kick off by saying happy belated Mother's Day to all of our moms, mother figures, grandmas in the GCC. We obviously celebrated our own moms on Sunday, but definitely want to extend that also to our GCC staff,
Thank
to
you.
our board president.
Thank you.
The other kind of momentary celebration for the board to know is tomorrow will be the birthday of our own executive assistant to the superintendent board, Miss DeMarco. So we happy birthday, Melissa. So just kind of wanted to jump into a few updates that have been happening. Today I had the opportunity to kind of start the day off at GIS, just kind of visiting the campus and walking around. Want to say that I did see a couple of HLA staff members over there who were doing some IB learning and everything. So great job kind of making that connection in partnership with Adrian Pierre over at GIS. It was really nice to see them. I was shocked when I said, hey, what are you doing here? And we took a little selfie, but really some great learning. I love to see the work across our schools and our programs. The GCC Foundation met earlier today and was led by our foundation chair, Mr. Anderson, and a really good meeting where we continue to look at the priorities. We shared with the foundation about some of the parts of our transition and kind of what's next. And we look forward to sharing with you some of their upcoming events, most notably the golf tournament, which will be September the 8th. At Mather Golf Course, so please save the date for that.
September 8th, they're already putting it down.
Already put it down. We're looking forward to having 144 golfers.
Oh, wow.
So that's what we're pushing for. So Director Block and Director Turner, we look forward to you.
On board.
All right.
And Mr. Anderson and I keep the
Yeah.
spirit going.
That's right.
All right.
Yes.
Last week, we were really honored to celebrate our certificated staff for Certificated Staff Appreciation Week. And next week, we look forward to celebrating our classified staff. One of the things that we did, and I want to affirm Julia Jimenez Yamamoto for putting together these highlight kind of videos of our staff. And so tonight, I want to share one of the videos of Elizabeth Paul, who is a 3rd grade teacher at GIS. We also featured during Teacher Appreciation Week, Chef Ryan from Sava and Nadia Rayleigh from COA. So if you'll look, and we'll share a quick video with you from Ms. Paul.
My name is Elizabeth Call, and I currently teach 3rd grade, but I've also taught 2nd grade and 1st grade. And next year I'm excited to switch to 5th grade. It's going to be a new challenge. I started working with GCC in the fall of 2007. I was working at Community Collaborative Charter Schools, the Jackson site, and we were an independent study school then. So about 16 years. This is the end of year 16. I love having conversations with the kids. I love seeing them get excited about a topic and be curious, and just watching them light up when they understand it, or when they really want to contribute something. You can see in their face that they know and they want to share. I love seeing their growth, especially the school I'm at now has a lot of English learners. So from the start of the year to the end of the year, you see so much growth in them. You see them. I have third graders who come in who don't even know all their alphabet yet. And I have one this year who he's already reading 60 words a minute. And I love sharing that with them, because I know they get really discouraged that, you know, the grade for third grade, 60 words a minute isn't enough. But I can go, look, you went from 0 to 60. That is awesome. That is so much work. Or you went from pre-kinder and now you're at early second grade. You grew 3 whole grade levels in 9 months. Look how awesome that is. So I love focusing on growth. We want to create a sense of agency in students to want to learn for themselves, have those self-initiated inquiries, because in today's technological age, really, you can Google and YouTube how to learn or do just about anything, but having that intrinsic drive to go out and learn and inquire and ask questions. Our math curriculum always starts with a try it problem, and we have taught nothing yet. It's just, here's a problem, solve it. And the first time, the beginning of the year, it's always kind of hard, like, well, you haven't told me how to solve it. It's like, well, look at your information, see what you can do. Draw some pictures. You can use, graphic organizers, and they always have to try themselves. They inquire and they think about it and they test different solutions and try to solve the problem. And then we discuss all the different ways people came up with to solve the problem. And then we get into the lesson of what the topic is about. So it's very interesting to see just how different all their thought processes are. Some of my walker, I'm like, I never would have thought to do it that way. And it's really great to share on the board, and they love to share their solutions on the board and how they came up with their idea.
All right. So again, really proud of all of our teachers. And Elizabeth is just one example of some of the great work that we have going across all of our schools. We did this kind of teacher part as part of National Charter School Week to really highlight not only our teachers, but the work that's happening at each of our schools. While I'm also celebrating kind of our certificated staff, I would like to share with the board that one of our COA middle school teachers, Emily Armenta, was nominated for the Sacramento County Charter School Teacher of the Year. And so we wish to offer our congratulations and support and help Emily as she continues through the process. And really will look forward to her becoming our County Teacher of the Year. On this Friday, we will look forward to hosting our annual end of year. It's hard to believe that we're already saying that. Celebration at the Higher Learning Futures High School campus at 1 o'clock. So looking forward, we know the board's attendance, and we'll kind of work with Melissa around that. That same night, COA Elementary will be hosting their annual cultural fair, and that will follow kind of our end of year. Then next week, we go into celebrating our classified. Some other highlights is during this time since we last met, all Gateway Community Charter Schools, all of our schools were selected and have received the prestigious Capturing Kids' Heart National Showcase school status. So if you'll join with me and give everyone a big round of applause for that. And by virtue of all of our schools being chosen as showcase schools, Gateway Community Charters was once again chosen and awarded a National Showcase District or organization. For those who don't know, it really is not out of the thousands of schools across the country, it's a small handful. So we're really proud of this. I want to spotlight a few other things. So Sava participated in the 38th annual Construction Industry Foundation Design and Build Competition. I think you'll see some pictures behind me. So during a 4-month span, students, they designed and they prepared their construction project. The students then built their structure during a 2-day competition that was held at Consumers River College. And then they were judged by industry professionals on the completion of the design. So we want to celebrate our SAVA students. While they did not secure the first place position, it really was a great opportunity for them to connect with a number of our industry partners and professionals, and also just being in a great environment that I think will continue to build on their knowledge. So congratulations to SAVA for that. This week I was honored to visit Ms. Parker and Mrs. Forbes' 2nd and 3rd grade class to read to their students. It was a really fun, exciting time. If you don't know the questions that come from 2nd and 3rd graders, they're really special. That's what I'm just going to leave it at that, because we're on TV or something. So they're really special, but it was really fun. One of my favorite is one of the kids asked me, do you know my last name? And I'm like, Smith? And he's like, no, Mason. I'm like, okay. But it was adorable, really enjoyed. And I want to publicly thank Ms. Forbes and Ms. Parker for the invitation to come and spend some time with them. Going into looking at some things, as you may know, on Friday, the governor released his May revise for the budget, and Omira and her team continue to monitor what's happening. I believe a number of us will be attending the School Services of California CSDC budget workshops. AXA has submitted their kind of write-up, and from our initial review, what we're really seeing is that while education was not greatly impacted, there are some small minor things, such as 51% reduction in the arts and music block grant, and then an approximate 32% reduction or decrease in the learning recovery grants. Again, our business services team is already working and has anticipated those adjustments and built them into our budget already. And Omira and our team continue to be on top of that. During this same time, we were honored to last week, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Gold, Mr. Elliott, and myself to be a part of the Teacher Leaders Final session where our teachers presented their passion projects. It was really exciting to see those projects, and I want to congratulate all of our program participants for their work. And you'll see, I believe, one of our projects up there on the wall. Finally, just kind of a few closeout items. We continue to work through our transition. I've been honored to host our student focus groups, which I will tell you, board, it was one of those things where you expect students to, maybe make comments about we need better food or we need, different facilities. But I will tell you, this group of high school students from across all of our schools, CCCS, SAVA, Futures, these students that, they shared a lot about, mental health services, our college readiness, our, being more rigorous in our approach, talking to them about college sooner, diversity. And so it was really nice to hear the voice of our students share what their needs are and really see our alignment. We continue to plan to put this work into our blueprint for excellence as we ultimately chart a course for GCC in our future. On June the 14th, we'll host our next group, which will be with parents. And so we continue to work through alumni, students, parents, and then we'll be working with our community leaders to again get their input. I completed the superintendent spring presentations, which I won't ask the staff to say how it went, but I think it went okay.
Oh, you got thumbs up.
Okay.
Well, look at that.
Just need to check.
Did all right.
But the first round of spring presentations, I felt really went well. Likewise, we asked staff for their input on the blueprint and the transition plan. And so looking forward to continuing to build on some of their key feedback for the organization. Tomorrow, Mr. Block and I will be up and at it early at the CBAC meeting, where we will also have a moment where we'll get some feedback from the CBAC. Our community engagement team hosted our ice skating in the spring, which was a special event for our newly arrived families. And within the community, the families have the opportunity to enjoy ice skating, but they also receive cold weather clothing. This was made possible by the Sacramento Bee's Book of Dreams grant. And so I want to affirm Maisha Britt and Sergey Terekov for their work to pull this wonderful event together. And finally, we conclude our big day of giving. This year, we raised $4,301 thanks to the generosity of our 29 incredible donors. The breakdown of our donors we shared with the foundation today was 7% of our donors were the board. CBAC was 7%. Our foundation board was 7%. Staff donations was 21%. Our community partners was 24%, and 34% of our donors were parents. This is the first time that we reached out to our parents to also give them the opportunity to donate, and they by far was our largest percentage group. And so I want to affirm Julia Jimenez Yamamoto for her leadership and work in this area. This is her first year, first project, and she did a great job. Moving forward, our goal is to maintain strong engagement with our donors. A number of them, or a couple of them, excuse me, want to become volunteers within the GCC, and we want to give them that opportunity. Finally, graduation and promotion season is, well, not upon us, it's here. And so, board, you recently received your list of events, and we look forward to celebrating our students' achievements, not only with you, but with all the wonderful people here. And that is my report.
Thank you so much. Any comments, board members? Anything? Thank you so much again. He kind of missed out on some things because last night we were at an AXA event. And Jason was there, Mr. Sample was there as an officer working the event. And I was just there working the event. But I just want to share this in his report. This is plaque that was given to the legislators, those in charge. And it is just wonderful in recognition of exemplary service to education in California and the Governmental Relations Department. The Association of California School Administrators expresses its sincerest appreciation and best wishes to Jason Sample. Gateway has become very well known throughout the state for all of the work that the superintendents and all of the directors and them you're doing. You're known out there. Now, it's not just the charter school, but it's part of the educational organization. So we're very thankful to you and your hard work, and to all of you presenters and people who are really working to let the state know that Gateway is a viable entity in the educational process. So thank you. Thank you. So with that, anything else on this area, board members? If not, we are now moving into our study session, and we're looking forward to that. Higher Learning Academy annual school report. And you are the first one, so you ready? Did you want to bring them in?
Yes, so Madam President, we're excited to welcome Principal Daniel Coonan for Higher Learning Academy. And so we're looking forward to a great report. Definitely, through the transition of moving from a director overseeing both campuses, Mr. Coonan has done a great job to continue the culture and to build on what I think is some great work happening at HLA for our students. So we welcome Mr. Coonan.
Thank you so much. We have just to show our appreciation for the board. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Most of it has Higher Learning Academy printed on it, so you can always keep us, front of mind.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. President Campbell, members of the board, Superintendent Sample, it's an honor to be with you all here today. Yeah. And just honored to be here talking about the school that we love so much and all the wonderful things that are going on there. So let's get right into it. All right, so our agenda for today, we're going to go through some good things, some things that we're especially proud of. We'll talk about our student achievement, we'll talk about the development of our curriculum, and especially in terms of our international baccalaureate progress. We'll talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and our engagement with the parent and community. Then we'll move on to social emotional learning, the impact that we're having, and then what we're looking forward to in the future. And I know you guys are all very familiar with this now, Michael Fullen's model of SEL, academics, and equity all coming together and only having the greatest impact when those areas are integrated. So we hope to show you that tonight. All right, so our good things, Superintendent Sample covered it, but we are so proud to be a 4-time national showcase school. And really, I mean, we have all of you to thank for that. It's been, such a long, consistent, dedication that can only happen with strong support coming, from the very top. So we thank you all for that support and that guidance. We continue to grow enrollment at HLA. And part of that is due to the addition of our transitional kindergarten program. So it's been great to have little 4-year-olds on our campus this year. Up in the corner there is a picture of Mrs. Peters in her TK class. It's been just a huge success this year. We will talk more in depth about it later, but we continue to make progress in terms of international baccalaureate and those programs developing. We have been thrilled to have several multicultural events this year, which of course, falls perfectly in line with our IB programs needing to be internationally minded. And so that's been really positive this year. Can't say enough about our Scoop partnership and really have HR to affirm for that. I think it's probably not the first time you've heard about Scoot up here, but it's just been, it's more than just getting subs onto our campus. It's really allowing our employees to do the jobs that they are there to do, rather than constantly being pulled to cover a class here, cover a class there. And even a lot of professional development really can't be done without bringing some subs into classrooms. So that's really been a game changer, and we're excited to see that partnership continue. Our after school program continues to be very popular with our families and a huge success. Big affirmation to our after school director, Mrs. Gomez, for that. We successfully passed our Williams Act audits early on in the school year. And that was kind of a neat thing, because it is the first year that charter schools have ever been subject to that requirement. So yeah, we were proud to see that through, and big affirmation to Ashley Cal here at GCC for guiding us through that process. We have a PYP Spanish teacher, which has been a traditionally difficult position to fill, but she's doing an excellent job with our elementary kiddos. And then we had our WASP visit in October and received full accreditation 6 years from that. So we are very proud of that work as well. Right. So diving into student achievement. First and foremost, well, as you know, this aligns with state priorities 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We are really proud that on our dashboard, we were noted as having high English learner progress. So that's a bright spot for us. And along with that sort of continued progress, this year we were able to reclassify 18 English learners as being English proficient. So we expect to continue to see, a positive result there on the dashboard for next year. So the graphs that you're looking at, I know you've been seeing these in other presentations. This is our iReady data. This slide specifically is reading data. First bar is in the fall, so very beginning of the year, diagnostic exam with all students. And the bottom one is mid-year. So the data for our end of the year is coming in and looking really good. I can speak a little bit to that, but in terms of just having a full, cohort of data there, we went with the mid-year data here. So you can see the green bars growing. So our on grade level and above grade level students are growing in numbers, and we put those numbers in there at the bottom as well. So for example, we added 9 students being above grade level. We added 20 students to that on grade level band, whereas 14 students moved out of the 2 grade below level band. Moving on to our math achievements. Similar growth here. You can see our on and above grade level groups growing. So for example, we added 19 students into that on grade level group, whereas 41 students transitioned out of the 2 grade level below group, and 22 students transitioned out of the 3 or more grade levels below group. So, we'll be the first to admit that we have tons of work to do, in terms of student achievement. We need to see all of our students, on or above grade level, but we feel proud that we are moving in the right direction and continuing to monitor these numbers to make sure that we are. Affirmation to Dr. Gold just for bringing us iReady as a tool. It's been a really positive transition for us in terms of moving our local assessment over to iReady. And we are just starting to kind of crack the surface on some of the other instructional tools that come along with iReady. So thank you for that. I did want to speak a little bit to the end of the year numbers. I'm going to actually go back a slide. So just looking at early end of year numbers, and we have about 80% of our students assessed at this point. Those green areas currently are at 12 and 16% of our students. So 12 being above grade level, 16% early on grade level. So again, those numbers definitely moving in the right direction. And in terms of math, 5%, that 1% at the bottom there has grown to 5%. And that 6% of on grade level has grown to 10%. All right. And with that, I want to throw it to our vice principal, Mr. Munch.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Coon. Good evening, Board President Campbell, board members, and Superintendent Sample. Board President Campbell, as you said, I'm still kind of getting used to not seeing the 1-inch squares and seeing actual people, so I'm loving it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about HLA's IB work and kind of our IB journey, but I cannot talk about IB without giving a huge affirmation shout out to our PYP coordinator and instructional coach, Mrs. Ford. She has been doing so much work, just came back from maternity leave, hitting the ground running, and receiving almost daily support from Mrs. Joy Takoy, who's been helping us every step of the way. With their work, we were able to get our PYP authorization application completed and submitted, and we will have that authorization visit coming in this next year to hopefully give us that PYP stamp of approval. Moving into the MYP, or the middle years program side of things, we are able to promote our amazing math teacher, Mr. Brandon Bugazzi, from math teacher to MYP instructional coach. So he is going to give our middle years program the same support that Ms. Core has been giving our amazing PYP team. Even before taking the mantle of MYP coordinator, he has already been supporting all the teachers in writing and implementing IB units. So they are already off to a really strong start in that area. Moving out of PYP and MYP and going into kind of our global training. Thanks to the Scoot support that Mr. Coonan was referring to earlier, we were able to get subs in the classrooms, allowing 5 teachers to travel kind of across the country and attend IB workshops everywhere from Florida to Southern California and various other places. So that was a great benefit that we did not have to sacrifice any learning loss. We had qualified people in those classrooms for it. In June, at the end of June and July, we are sending 10 of our staff members to Tahoe for an annual IB conference. So I'm excited for a lot of great work and learning to be done there. And then we are hosting an IB training here in July on our HLA campus, really empowering our teachers to kind of explore investigating inquiry. And in the vein of collaboration, we are inviting GIS and EPIC teachers to attend that training, as well as a 2.5-day workshop. Before moving on, I do want to point out some of these pictures on the slides. Our right 2 pictures are from our multicultural fair, very much in the vein of International Baccalaureate School, being internationally minded. We have Miss Pam, our registrar educating and really celebrating her Hmong culture. While on the bottom right, it's a little harder to read, but we have a 2nd grade teacher, Miss Rector, celebrating and educating our Chamorro culture from Guam. And last but not least, the first thing you see when you come into HLA is our banner of IB learner profiles. Just to point out a few, there's principled, caring, and open-minded. These are profile traits and qualities that in a scholar's tenure at HLA, we want to embed within them as lifelong learners. I want to give a shout out to our PYP team who has been doing some absolutely incredible work in this area and has really kind of grown into their own as one cohesive PYP team. I'm really excited to see them continue and grow in this way. Moving out of IB and into curriculum and instruction. As with many years in the past, our school implementation plan has been focused on reading comprehension with the kind of belief that if scholars can read, they're going to be accessing or be able to access any area of curriculum, and that will not be a barrier to whatever they want to do. In that vein, we have been partnering with Solution Trees, and specifically Mr. Blake Clark from Solution Tree, who has been giving us a lot of support on revamping our inquiry cycles, really changing the kind of old dynamic of you read at a third grade, you're going to be partnered with third graders to here's the skill you can do, here's the skill you can do. Let's get together and work on that. And there's a lot of research supporting some excellent growth when we group scholars in that way. Moving into science, this was our K-5 first year implementing amplified science curriculum after our adoption at the end of last year. It has been going very well. On the top right, you see a kindergartner from Mrs. McKinney's class doing some project-based learning around kind of suction and friction properties and being immensely proud of the really long bridge that she was able to make with those kind of green suction-y things. Moving into the area of math, we are continuing our work with building thinking classrooms. There's a set of principles and practices that have some research backing to really bolster and create a robust learning environment for scholars in the area of mathematics. We have been implementing 4th through 8th building thinking classrooms, but this year we were able to roll out implementation to 2nd and 3rd grade as well. So we are currently implementing 2nd through 8th grade. That has been a lot of work on our teachers with an amazing partnership from SCOE and some of the math experts there. And we look forward to continuing that work and really deepening our understanding of building thinking classrooms and the scholars' understanding of kind of mathematical principles. I cannot talk about curriculum instruction without mentioning our amazing intervention and EL paraprofessionals. These 5 staff are tasked with going all around the campus, in and out of every classroom, doing everything from one-to-one instruction, small group, kind of large group interventions, really targeting what our scholars need to be successful and helping meet those individual needs. And in the vein of meeting individual needs and along the lines of our LCAP Goal 1, Action 4, and GCC Commitments 1, stating that equal is not always equitable, and commitment number 5, that we will promote a safe learning environment for all scholars. Every scholar at HLA has the opportunity to receive after-school tutoring from a credentialed teacher in order to kind of help build up some of those gaps or maybe catch some of those areas in class they just weren't quite here. Moving on to my favorite thing to talk about when we talk about HLA is diversity, equity, and inclusion. This goes along with GCC goal number 2 of reducing the opportunity gap for structurally disadvantaged students. One of my favorite things, I've been at HLA for about 7 years now, is the huge breadth of diversity that our staff and students bring every single day to campus and everything that that means. Thanks to some incredible work by Ms. Julie Lewis, who is pictured on the right, our student support coordinator, and Mrs. Gomez, our academic or after schools director, we were able to put on 3 very large and very successful multicultural events. In November, we had a Dia de los Muertos event, celebrating the Day of the Dead. At the end of February, we were able to end cap with a Black History Celebration event. On our bottom left, we see a couple of future high school students and some members of our Black Student Union giving out backpacks to some of our littles. And then we were able to throw a multicultural event. Some of those pictures were seen a few slides ago. With collaboration or in collaboration with Futures High School, we are pushing for a slur-free campus campaign, really empowering staff, students, and anybody who comes on campus to call out inappropriate language, inequitable and or hateful language wherever it is seen, so that we can really promote a safe learning environment. That's where we believe students are going to grow. Along with this campaign came a slew of staff training, everything from general equity to implicit bias to transgender rights and so many things kind of in between. I mentioned Black Student Union, but we were also able to get our Hispanic Student Union off the ground, also known as La Raza or the family. That is future staff, HLA staff, future student, HLA students, and all parents in between working together to really bring those cultures into campus. Mr. Coonan, myself, and one other staff member have been on a year-long restorative justice training. And so now we are certified trainers in restorative justice, and we're going to kind of push small groups out to really get the community building and restorative practice work to help continue finding alternatives to suspension. That being one of our major equity goals is continuing to keep our suspension numbers low and continuing to work on increasing our attendance numbers. I put our attendance data at the top. Historically, this has been a major area of challenge for HLA. We see kind of attendance in around the 80–88%. Now, our goal this year was 92%. We were so incredibly close as of the April data at 91.4. I do want to give a major shout out to Superintendent Jason Sample. He mentioned that he did his spring presentations, and in those presentations, he talked pretty significantly about equity, and in conversations, he brings up equity. And it really shows that this is something that he values, that the organization values, and that we're going to get support through this very difficult work. So thank you, Superintendent. The last slide before I pass it back to Mr. Coonan, I'd like to talk about our parents and community. I cannot talk about our parents and community without giving an amazing affirmation to our PFO, as well as Miss Julie, who I believe is over here. They are just completely embedded in our campus. They are part of our lifeblood. They give feedback and get our thoughts on everything from our slur campaign to our suspension strategies to everything in between. They are just as part of our staff as any of our teachers are classified. With their support, I want to point out 3 major partnerships that we have developed with their support. The first of which being a foster grandparent organization. Foster grandparent essentially gets a foster grandparent in your classroom or group of classrooms. So we have a grandparent who does not necessarily have a scholar at our campus, who is in either 1, 2, or maybe 3 classes helping and supporting the teacher and the scholar. And they have become so entrenched in HLA that we needed to create an interview process for foster grandparents who want to come in. So we worked with foster grandparents, PFO, and ourselves to create that interview process. The next partnership I would like to talk about is Sight Word Busters. This is a really fast-paced drill of sight words for our TK through 2nd grade learners, and they were initially implemented by Sight Word Busters, some adults who came on to campus. But as the year progressed, we were actually able to work and train some Futures High School seniors and juniors to be our Sight Word Busters. The picture in the middle is a Futures High School senior, Eliana, implementing Sight Word Busters with 1st grader. Getting him some valuable education and her some wonderful job experience before really going out into the workforce. And our last partnership that I want to talk about is Edmo. This is a much newer partnership for us. Edmo is a STEAM-based summer program that we have heard amazing things from various schools, parents, and community members. We're really excited to kind of watch them in action this summer and continue this partnership. I would like to end on a back to school night announcement. As I said, I've been at HLA for 7 years, and we have notoriously had a very difficult time getting parent and community involvement. But in March, we had an open house, and I can safely say it was the most parents, scholars, teachers, just community members who were there with smiling faces, engaged in the campus. And it really was just an amazing thing to see. So with that, I'm going to pass back to Mr. Freeman.
Good job. Moving on to social emotional learning. We know how important this is now more than ever, to make sure that our students are ready to learn. Again, talked about being a CKH National Showcase School. That's work that we'll always be very proud of. To continue to support that work, we've been able to train additional process champions. So those are non-administrator staff members who are trained as CKH leaders. So they can support Mr. Munch and I by supporting teachers to make sure that the CKH program is really being implemented with fidelity consistently across the campus. We have a CKH2 training scheduled for August. And if you're not familiar with that, that's more of a leadership training. We're going to be inviting all of our staff to that to get just another in-depth look at how we can all grow as leaders, because we all should be leaders on our campus in one way or another. We have second step SEL curriculum in our classrooms. Can't talk enough, or when talking about this work, it really comes down to the people, right? So that next bullet point is some of our key people involved with SEL. So our school counselor, Ms. G, our registered behavior technician, Ms. Emmy, and our school psychologist, Mr. Roscoe. They are just wonderful people helping us do this work every day. Mr. Munch talked about the restorative justice work that we've been doing. That's certainly a big part of our SEL. We've had some really intensive training for our middle school teachers from Carla Tantillo. She actually has written several books about SEL. You can see one of them pictured in the lower left-hand corner there. So she's been able to do some great hands-on training to get teachers the skills that they need to put this stuff into play in classrooms. And then we've continued our mindfulness and yoga for all scholars. I know board members that you're familiar with Mr. Christian and the great work that his company does. We just love that partnership, and it gets I'm going to talk about it a little bit more on the next slide, but it not only gets our kids great instruction, it's additional great people that we're bringing on our campus to interact with our kids. Christian's amazing, but he's also bringing in yoga teachers that are wonderful for our kids as well. So I want to affirm Miss Gabby, Miss Sandra, and Miss Olivia, who have been working with our kids all year. Okay, so all of these things are coming together to have an impact for our scholars, right? Another kind of point on the yoga and mindfulness piece, we put a couple of quotes up here from our scholars about what kind of an impact yoga has had on them. So I just want to read the 7th grade scholar in the top right who said, yoga helps us calm down, focus on our breathing, because we don't get that. We get frustrated with schoolwork, and yoga helps us refocus and calm down. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see some of our 3rd graders on a field trip this year to the SMUD Museum. It's been wonderful to have field trips be a regular thing, multiple field trips at every grade level this year. And they're really getting experiences that they wouldn't, many of them that they wouldn't, get in their normal everyday lives. So that's wonderful to see. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see our program of inquiry. When next time you guys come through our gates at HLA, you'll see those 10 IB learner profile traits. And then directly to your right, you'll see our HLA program of inquiry. All IB schools have this posted. For most of them, it's in the lobby somewhere. As you know, we have a very unique campus. It's hard to sometimes find that bulletin board space with all of our big windows and I-beams and our kind of unique architecture, but I thought it was really cool that we found this space outside. We found an outside, bulletin board to house this all. And so what the program of inquiry shows is it shows all of the units that our children experience across their TK through 5 education at HLA. And you might even be able to see those little HLA eagles kind of scattered across there. That's specifically where those scholars are in their learning at any time. So you can go up and say, oh, what are second graders working on? What are the concepts that they're learning? What's the central idea of their current unit? So that's a really fun thing that kind of shows our overall PYP program. All right, looking forward to what's next. We are excited, as mentioned earlier, to be authorized at the PYP level for IB next fall. Charter renewal is in the fall as well, so it's going to be a busy fall for us. We're looking forward to charter renewal with Twin Rivers. As I'm growing into this position, this principal position, I'm growing my leadership team. So I am, empowering Mr. Munch. Mrs. Floor, we've heard about how amazing she's doing, and then adding that second instructional coach is going to be a big piece as well. And really, our campus is full of leaders across the board. I could talk forever about how many staff members step up and support our school in various ways above and beyond every day. We're going to continue our progress with MTSS, specifically with some PBIS training through Placer County Office of Education. You all heard from CCCS just a couple of weeks ago about the great work that they've been doing with PBIS through Placer County. And so we're going to dive into that same work next year. Continuing our partnership with Solution Tree, we're going to continue to identify essential standards and put together our entire tiered support systems for our students in academics, behavior, and SEL. And just a few other things, planning with math planning with Sacramento County Office of Education experts. That's been very fruitful work. A very robust summer PD schedule to make sure that all of our teachers, whether they're brand new or they're veterans, they're coming back ready to be successful in the fall. And trying to be a little bit more systematic with our support of new teachers. So making sure they have all the tools they need to step into the class day one, be successful with classroom management, academic rigor, etc. All right, and I want to affirm Dr. Crawford for his support with MTSS and for guiding us towards that PBIS training that we're very excited about. All right, and with that, we will take any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, board members. Comments, questions? Okay, Mr. Sherman.
Well, I'm speaking for myself, I'm sure the whole board, thank you. I'm very in-depth and insightful presentation. And I was particularly impressed with your work on the IB program. And I just had a question. Are the parents aware you're dealing with all that required for IB? And if they are aware, are they supportive of it? What's your sense for that?
Yeah, parents are very supportive. We like to take any opportunity we get. So when we bring in parents for those cultural celebrations, I like to get up and just talk a little bit about the IB and just kind of give them nuggets here and there. I'm not sure if I would get the same kind of turnout if I said, hey, IB informational night, come in here. So my strategy is just kind of sneak it in the back door and kind of just continue to talk about it and bring it up consistently, just so parents, I don't know, so that parents just kind of are aware and have it front of mind. It's similar to WASC in that, when they come, they're going to want to talk to parents and make sure that parents, are aware of what it is and have some level of understanding of it. So,
you've done so much work on it, and it is such an intense program to initiate. And I don't know, anything we could do to help you maybe pass that communication on. And what a success it really will be when it becomes a fully accredited IB school.
Yeah,
That's good.
thank you.
On your after-school program, you said it was open to all students. Do you have an idea of how many students take advantage of it, or is it just students that are referred? Or
Yeah, so we've got a little over 100 students taking advantage of it right now. And it is it is open to all students with the caveat of staffing to make sure that we're hitting ratios and keeping students safe and things like that. So staffing has been a challenge and that's limited our numbers a little bit. But we're hoping to be fully staffed moving into next year and support even more scholars.
You know, and I have to comment on your increase in the ADA. You know, pushing for 92%, that's for where you were a few years ago at 78%, that's
Yes.
impressive. That's
incredible.
really,
Thank you.
what's really worked in doing that? That's a significant increase.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's messaging, I think it's messaging and just making sure that parents know that we really value every minute that we get with students. We don't take that lightly. We plan for every minute. We need them there. And so I think just showing parents how seriously we take that. And just messaging, hey, they gotta be here. If they're not here, they're not learning and they're falling behind.
Okay.
And then, I mean, and CK, sorry to interrupt President Campbell, but
Yeah.
I mean, the things we do, like cultural things like CKH, those relationships, and that's why kids come back, right? When they want to see their teacher, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, then that's what I was gonna say, probably the programs that you have in place.
Yeah.
Are the programs that parents do want to come send their kids to. It's a big difference. You have made so much progress over the years. I have seen it, from where it is now, where it was before.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No,
Yeah,
no.
I just wanted to,
And I can't let it pass without saying something about yoga.
Yeah, sure.
So years ago, when you first came up and I saw yoga instruction and paying someone to come in to do the yoga training, I rolled my eyebrows and my eyes and everything. I know the board probably remembers. I'm really happy to hear the success. Do the staff take advantage of the yoga also?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially our family yoga night staff will participate in that sometimes.
It must be a little depressing to see how a kindergarten, first grade student can bend their body.
Yeah.
But again, I want to thank you, and I want to say congratulations on your success. And I look forward to hearing next year on what you've been able to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
yes. Mark,
The same thing, kudos, fantastic job as normal, or as usual. I just have two questions. So you said you're getting more parent engagement, which I'm always asking, how many parents do you actually get involved? And it sounds like you've had enough events to draw them in.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we ever done any CKH with parents? Do they really understand what we're doing with the children?
I mean, we certainly try to message that at things like back to school night, we'll talk specifically about, hey, we're a CKH National Showcase School. Here's what that means. In a very brief overview, hey, parents are going to see kids, you're going to see teachers greeting their students at the door with a handshake. That's important to us. Here's what a social contract is. Here's why it's important to us. So yeah, we try to get that message out there.
Be interesting to see if the students actually talk about that at home.
Yeah.
About what they learn and how how that becomes ingrained in how the culture of the school is. My other question is, I know the last time we had a conversation about budget for summer school.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of students taking advantage of that?
Those registrations are just starting to come in. We are shooting for 200. And we'll see if we get that. I think that was an ambitious goal, but I'm hoping we get there or at least very close.
I think it definitely will help your scores as well, right? With more students taking advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we want to do with iReady is break down that data in terms of who came to our summer program and what are their scores looking like in the fall versus the cohort that did not.
Right.
Yeah.
I know our directors will. She's shaking her head, yes, it was already.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
I really appreciate it. I know we're pushing the time. But I want to go back to your suspension rate. That's something that I have been watching for some time.
Okay.
So tell me how it looks now and You mentioned it, but you didn't talk about
Yeah, so I,
decreasing, you talked about some of the things you want to do that would happen.
right. So I have that data here. Our goal was 2%. We're currently at 2.99%. So we didn't quite hit our goal. We are a little bit over that. But we still feel proud that we're 3% below the state average. Yeah, so we feel like we do everything we can to keep students in school, use our restorative practice. Yeah, keep those numbers low.
Okay, and I know math is an area that we're concerned about.
Yeah.
Throughout the organization, so we will continue to watch that and see where it's going. And you think already it's gonna be able to really help with that program?
I think that's gonna be one piece of it. I think that our PD and planning this summer with SCOE's math
yeah.
experts, that's gonna be another big piece of it.
Great.
Yeah.
Super. Well, thank you both so very much and congratulations
Thank you.
as the principal, vice principal. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have some staff here. And would we like to, I would love to see all of the staff members so we can applaud you and give you thanks for being here. Would your staff members please stand? Okay. Thank you for all you do to make this happen, because if it were not for you, this would not happen. Your principals would just be standing up talking. So thank you very much. And thank you for the tweet. We appreciate it. All right, we're moving on very quickly to futures.
So, Madam President, I would like to invite Principal Wabano to join us. Again, another leader who has been with the GCC as a teacher, administrator, and now moving fully into the role as principal. And really excited to see the work that's happening on that campus and where they're going. So, Principal Wabano. Okay, futures?
In the house, in the house. Thank you, Deputy Sample. Thank you, Madam President and GCC board members for having us. We're excited to bring to you what we've been doing at Futures and the end of the year report for you guys. So we will jump into it just like we talked about, with time being of essence. So start off with good things, as we always do. Futures has been going through a lot of changes that we've been very excited about. And some of the most things we want to talk about are our National CK Showcase School. Again, recognition. We worked tirelessly hard on looking at data, being able to work with our teachers and continue seeing those collaborations and relationship buildings. We were able to do that by also having a CKH recharge, and as well as our successful WASP mid-year cycle. A lot of good things were said during that time, and we were very fortunate to have a lot of support from the commission, the WASP, and the tireless effort that our staff has done. Just to confirm Ms. Buda for a lot of the work that she did on the WASP doc as well. So this year, climate and culture has been a huge thing for us. It was something that we wanted to bring back to our school, you know, not blaming COVID for anything, but we were here to change things up. So what we did, we were able to send more field trips out this year, continue to build our sports program. Sports has been one thing that I find dear in my heart for. I think it brings a lot of positive impacts on our kids. So continue to keep building with our sports, adding new electives, being able to purchase new things for our electives, as well as hiring an ELD teacher this year who has tremendous experience, and really excited for that. As we get later on in our presentation, we will talk more about our other good things with our SCOE collaboration, our DEI work, our mentorships that we've been able to provide and bring to our school, as well as the student ownership and goals of our data. So with that, I will like to introduce our Vice Principal, Crystal Buda.
Good evening, board and transitional superintendent Sample. Talking about academic excellence, one of the things we've been focusing on a lot is student ownership of their goals and of their data. And this year, we're projecting 100% participation rates for LPAC and CAST. And we also saw an increase in the participation and the student ownership for iReady. So talking a little bit more about that iReady ownership, I'd like to affirm all of our teachers and our team for their work on this. If you take a look at the chart on the left, you'll notice that in the fall, our participation rates, we really struggled with these rates, and we were concerned about the student ownership of their data. So we implemented drastic changes to our procedures in order to basically promote unity and also accountability. So one little anecdote, our team met with a lot of the students around reclassification and what score they need on iReady for reclassification. And we ended up having several students come up to us and ask if we could reset their tests so that they could retake the test because they wanted to meet that threshold. Now that was voluntary. We also implemented procedures where students must retake the iReady test if they are flagged for rushing through it, or if they don't maintain or improve on their previous scores. In addition to other aspects of the iReady Blitz Week and iReady testing procedures. And you'll notice in the chart on the right, all of these actions increase our participation rates for the winter. So that was a big success. Now, moving in a little bit deeper to the ELA scores. The percentage of students at or above grade level for the fall and the winter was 16%. And this was just from August to January, so just a half of the year. We expect additional growth with the spring data. But one of the things that we're excited about in this preliminary data is that we saw 24 students move from the dark red 3 or more grade levels below to the higher categories. So the data is moving in the right direction. Moving on to math, the percentage of students at or above grade level grew by 6%, equaling 23 students. Also, 35 students moved out of the dark red into higher categories. And a couple of reasons for that success. First off, our pacing guides for the math department that we worked on last year with LTL. We implemented those pacing guides this year, which helped a lot. And also, just like HLA mentioned and a lot of the other schools, we are incredibly grateful to have the Scoot subs on our site. So I'd like to affirm Director Berrigan and the whole HR team for helping to partner with Scoot to help support our math classes. Like HLA mentioned, it takes a lot of pressure off of us for staffing, knowing that we have quality teachers in our classrooms and we can focus on supporting the students. Moving on to CASP, one thing we'd like to highlight, as you can see in these charts, is that the percentage of students meeting or exceeding the standard surpassed our local district for both ELA and math. That was a huge success. The Futures ELA CAST scores also surpassed similar surrounding schools in addition to outperforming the local district. We saw just a minimal achievement gap between the all students group and the economically disadvantaged subgroup. And 38% of English learners have either nearly met or exceeded the standard. Of course, the EL numbers are, we'd like to see them higher, but this has been a driving force for our work and our support of English learners and newcomers this year. For math, all students group maintained 15% between 2021 and 2022. So we maintained from the previous year. Again, we saw a minimal gap for economically disadvantaged students. And we saw in the EL subgroup an increase by 4% between 2021 and 2022. It was at 2.5% before. And I'll hand it back to Mr. Lotto.
Okay, now jumping into our instruction, we are in the business of learning, right? As teachers, educators, administrators, So some of the things that we've done this year were around our professional development. We were able to bring SCOE on to help with our ELA, ELD. We've also been able to use them for our history and social science. Continue to work with our LTL organization and Wendy and Kristen. I want to give a shout out to our instructional coach, Kiara Brannigan, who has been taking on so many hats, but she's also been able to continue to keep providing supports for our teachers. And so I just want to give a shout out to her while she's here. One of the things that we focused on this year was giving as much teacher voice. That was very important for us to let our teachers know that we're here for them, that we want to hear them, and that we want to continue to keep building that relationships. In addition, what we did is in our coherence team, we were able to bring in department leads as a part of our team. I felt that, and we felt that it was important that we can have that that individual that will represent each department, that will bring whatever is being talked about during department times back to administrative team so that the team can work together. We do these in weekly meetings as well as on our regular Fridays. Matt, with that, back to Crystal.
So at Futures, we engage our students through real world relevance. My personal favorite, we created a personal finance class in our master's schedule for the first time. So we're very excited about that. Also, with the help of Executive Director Maury Elliott, we launched dual enrollment this year. And that's the program where the students work on college classes at the same time as their high school classes in the effort to get an AA. And we had a huge turnout. We led GCC with 42 students, which is actually approximately 9% of our school population trying out dual enrollment. So we were very happy with that. And I'd like to affirm our counselors and Executive Director Elliott for his help with that. We also added an AP language course, continued our Project Lead the Way CTE pathway, and added choir and guitar classes. We would like to thank the board for approving all of these expenditures. I know that guitar and choir are not cheap, so we really appreciate all of your support with bringing these opportunities to our students. They're great opportunities for our students. We also engage our students outside of the classroom. We saw an increase of the field trips this year. Just to highlight one of them, we went to a nuclear power plant with the chemistry class. So that was very eye-opening and interesting. Also, some of the leadership students went to Castle, where they learned about leadership from other teenagers. We brought back the science fair this year, which is a project that Ms. Maximovich did in partnership with the Teacher Leaders Program. So I'd like to affirm Dr. Peterson for her help in mentoring Ms. Maximovich with the Teacher Leaders Program and bringing back this tradition. For special populations, we saw a huge increase in the number of our EL refugees, which led us to hire an additional ELD teacher and paraeducator. And we also did extensive work with SCOE around EL support and how to support ELs in all of our content classes. And one of the biggest supports for our special populations is mentorships. So we've expanded our behavior team to include additional educators. Some of them are here tonight with us. And we want to affirm them for all of their work with mentoring our students and being that extra ear for our students. Another source of mentorship is scholars and athletes, and they've been doing a fantastic job. We've been really excited about our work with them. As Mr. Munch mentioned, the backpack giveaway, but they also have been doing a lot with after school, and that is generally an area with Futures that we haven't had as much going after school except for sports. So it's great that we're bringing on things such as a financial literacy session that they did, reading buddies in collaboration with HLA, one-on-one mentoring, open gym. And so we're really grateful for the Scholars and Athletes program. And also our shared staff also helps to support our special populations. We're grateful for our shared RDP staff, especially we have a shared psychologist that joined us this year, also a shared nurse, and just all of our staff that works together at RDP. All right, Mr. O'Connor.
Then moving on to our diversity, equity, and inclusion. So one thing that I will first off like to mention is that our collaboration with DEI has been hugely part of the vision that Dr. Marson had when we had kind of came on board as a group, as well as continue support with VP Munch, continue leading with our equity groups as support as a RDP. We've been able to do after school DEI work with parents and stakeholders, as well as being able to add our staff integrated with and amongst each other between HLA and futures in small groups so that we continue to keep this a part of our discussions and our growth. I also just want to highlight a picture that you'll see there next to our Black Student Union flyer is Deputy Sample's best friend, Marcel. Marcel says hi. He's also sure talking about Dutch Bros with you again. You know what that means. I'm going broke. Thank you. And also just with those images were just some great events that we were able to have at RDP with collaboration with HLA, with our cultural fair and our Black Student Union event. Hugely large part to the contributions of our student leadership at Futures. Shout out to Ms. Pro, our leadership teacher. But they have been the most active that we've ever had, I think, in a long time. And they were pretty much in my office daily. Something new, something they want to run by me, something they had already done without even asking me yet. But I appreciate their efforts. It was amazing to see just the change in that group, what they've done. And so again, just affirm them and Ms. Pro. We were able to create have a women's empowerment event, which was the first one that we've had at Futures. That was solely driven by one of our students. It was her idea that was wanting to bring to our site. And then also with our RDP inclusion team. That RDP inclusion team is a collaboration that Future students and HLA students that was driven by, again, student voice, but also with the support of ACES coordinator for HLA, Megan Gomez. I think without her, a lot of our cultural events and our DEI work wouldn't be there without her. And her way of just kind of, she was a magnet for support. She brings people in from everywhere. So it's been hugely appreciated that she was able to include Futures in this as well. Moving on into our parent and community engagement. Continually supporting our parents and wanting to be there for them. With collaboration with Mr. Coonan, we've been able to do a monthly coffee and tea events that we've been doing once a month. We fluctuate between the morning and the afternoons. I didn't know it was a competition until our last admin meeting, Mr. Coonan. So things will change. But they have been our way to get to our parents on different levels. We're looking to expand to make that better so that we continue to keep having that collaboration with them. Again, going back to our equity meetings and our community groups that we've been able to kind of bring to our events. Again, continue to work with our DEI and equity parent volunteers that we've been able to have support with them as well. PFO has been a great organization for our site. They've again, open arms have brought Futures in this year, which has been fantastic. And they always ask for is what they can do, what they can do. School Site Council and DLAC monthly radio show that we continue to keep sending out as much information. Again, I've just affirmed Jana, our parent liaison, who continues to keep going to these events for us to just show our support and to give out as much communication we have. And then lastly, again, going back to sports has been just a huge part of, I think, Futures and our growth as what we're trying to bring for our students. They are great events. We were able to have our senior nights have been such an amazing event. Shout out to Deputy Sample for going to our basketball senior night where that place was packed. It was one of the first times I've seen that entire gym full of stands. Some great stuff, having good competition, good teams. So if you ever get that chance, you want to come out and support us, we'll be out there. Some of the other events that we've had for our parent and community engagement, we were able to create an event for our family for especially focus on our refugees during December. We invited a lot of community resources to come to our site to just give that information out to our families who may need to figure out, what they need to do when they come to the States. Like HLA had mentioned, and Mr. Pin and Mr. Munch, Dia de los Muertos event, our Black History event, multicultural fair. Futures was able to bring an alumni event that was a great time for us to kind of see different yearbooks, see the other students that were there, some teachers that were part of Futures were there. Shout out to Ms. Pro. And our college and career fair that we were able to bring back again in person. So we're looking to expand on that and make that even better for next year.
So for social emotional learning, we've continued our tradition of our Point Break anti-bullying seminar, where students engage in activities and hear testimonials that promote a positive school climate. We've also continued, as we were talking earlier, with our partnership with the mindfulness and yoga program with Mr. Christian. And he does he gives a mindfulness option once a week to PE classes, and also does push into content classes on a rotating basis. This year, we implemented Futures Fridays, which is a 30-minute time on Fridays, where every single student in the entire school is doing the same lesson. And that lesson, we have a rotating schedule. So that lesson may be around CKH or SEL, college and career, AVID, or students' ownership of their data. Again, it's all about the unity and helping everyone to be on the same team at Futures. Lastly, I'd like to affirm Dr. Crawford for the support that he's provided this year with the GCC crisis team that brings in other professionals, nurses and counselors at times when we need them most. We'd also like to affirm Dr. Gold, Dr. Marston, Dr. Crawford, Ms. Choi Takoy, Executive Director Elliott, all of GCC, Ms. Reyes, I'm sorry, Ms. Reina, sorry, tongue-tied a little bit there. But basically, we appreciate all of the support that GCC has provided us in our new roles. And we have seen a lot of results, a huge impact at Futures this year. Bringing everything together, we have seen increased staff skill and confidence around relating and responding to students. So we gave a survey in December and asked staff how things have changed since August, and 78% of staff reported an increased confidence around responding to students, and we believe that that is due to our training and our DEI work. Also, 96% of our staff, according to the Hanover surveys, say that they are satisfied with leadership, and 74% of students say that their teachers want them to succeed. So we're very happy about the culture that we're building at Futures and at RDP. We also see greater student voice, choice, and leadership. As Mr. Lavana mentioned with the women's leadership event, that was completely organized by one of our students. And we also have the Harvest Festival that not only was also organized by by a student, but by another student in the women's leadership event. We have tons of leaders at Futures, and it's only growing more and more. So we're very proud of our impact on the student ownership of their goals and data, their leadership, and the safer, more positive climate due to the RDP collaboration.
And what's next for Futures? Well, what's not next? But
But not next.
yeah, the slide's not big enough for this. But some of the things we want to highlight for what's next is our professional development growth. So our PBIS and positive behavior intervention support that we will be going through this fall, and our continued partnership with SCOE and coaching and expanding to our math departments. Expansion of SEL mental health and intervention support is also a need. Futures was able to send in a request for a social worker intervention teacher, and it's been approved. So we're hoping to fill that position by the start of next year. They will be an important piece to our SEL and mental health. We feel that is a need, and that is something that we can be able to kind of build a team for RDP with these new positions, as well as adding our CKH2 training that we will all be going through again, or not again, but for the first time, and excited about that as well. Our course selection is continuously growing. We are going to be bringing another project lead the way curriculum in biomedical science. It is something that our community has been voicing. Students, parents have been asking about this. And so we're happy to say that we're going to be sending a few teachers to go get trained on that. Hopefully start to expand in that department. Music theory and appreciation is also something that we are going to be adding to our course selection, as well as AP literature. Continued RDP equity collaboration and charter renewals this fall, as well as some exciting planning for RDP and futures, expanding sports programs, but looking at options and bringing a turf soccer field to futures. Wink, wink. With that, thank you so much for listening to us, and thank you for all that you do for our school and for our districts. At this time, if there are any questions, have at it.
Yes, Mr. Block.
I just want to say, being over there, I've been, with a grandson at HLA, and I'm seeing the collaboration between HLA and Future makes me feel good, makes me feel great behind the things that are going on between the two. And the parents organization, I see them out there. They set up tables out for schools, selling stuff to help kids out. So that's the other thing, because I'm really particular about the parents and the student newsletter. That's something I haven't seen it, but I gotta come over and kill them. I'll go in the morning.
Yeah.
No, you have to see that.
You will.
Yeah.
So,
You have to see back in the morning.
Oh, yeah, you can.
I know, but
Yeah, our student newsletter is our, communication is an area of growth for our school. We want to be able to show what Futures is up to, and we want to let everybody know. Mr. Davis, shout out to Mr. Davis for taking on that role. Continue to keep having students to be part of writing this newsletter. And so we're really excited about exploring that and what that can bring our school.
Anyone? No, yes.
No, I want to thank you for your in-depth presentation, and your energy and enthusiasm really came through. And particularly it almost sounded like the Oscars. You didn't quite name everybody, and I'm sure you missed. I really am supportive of the higher education, the dual enrollment, and the more students you can get to do that, that's just a pathway that will continue, and hopefully they will pursue a higher education. I already know you have a really high percentage of students that do go on to higher education on the futures. Also, it was out of your report, did students really come back and want to retake the test?
Yeah, they did. One thing, again, we wanted to tell students why. Why are they taking iReady? Why are they, that's always a question they want to ask. And with some, it's about the reclassification and what that looks like. So some of our students didn't know, and we were able to communicate with them that there are certain tests that you have to get through to be reclassified. And then once they started knowing that, oh, that's what I have to do, hey, maybe no problem resetting that for you.
I appreciate your comments on the test scores and so forth, because we've been real concerned now for the learning loss. And I appreciate your commenting on that, because it isn't just a futures issue, and of course it's a statewide national issue. And finally, could you elaborate a little more on the efforts you've had to do to work with the refugee students? And because I know that was really unexpected. Who could have planned this population and the needs that they have? Could you just expand on what you, and is there anything else we need to do that we're not doing?
So yeah, it obviously the unfortunate things that are happening. Futures is very fortunate that we were able to have a lot of Slavic staff who know the needs and know the culture and the community and what they're going to be looking for. So there is a lot of relationships that we were able to build during this time. We see a lot of our students that are in need of certain necessities to get through school. We were able to work with the foundation, with our parent liaison, Jana was able to bring resources. So we are giving as much of our energy towards them. And I think for us to continue to keep growing, it's all it needs is how we are able to bring those resources to them,
Okay.
so they don't have to search for it.
Good.
And with our community event that we had in December, that was our goal, was to bring, healthcare, to bring banking, to bring education, all to that event, so they don't have to look for it. Because I'm sure a lot of their questions is, where do I go? How do I find it? So we continue to keep building that and keep bringing those resources, and we have different avenues and things that we're gonna explore. And hopefully that continues to be something that they can reach for us, and we can continue to keep
Well,
providing.
thank you and keep it up.
Yeah.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Good job.
Thank you,
Thanks.
all of you for your report. There was one item I forgot to mention, HLA, and you also mentioned again, the Scoop partnership.
Yeah.
Because when we saw it, when it came to the board, we had questions about it. But both of you have indicated that it's one of the better things that we could have done to approve that, because you didn't have to move teachers around, you've got people coming in. So I was really glad to hear both of you mention the Scoop partnership and how effective it has been for your program.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that. Now, again, I will ask all of your staff members to please stand so that we can applaud you and thank you for your hard work. Without you, none of this would happen. And we really see that things are happening with Future and HLA. So we like the partnership that we see, and you're working together for all of those students. So thank you so very, very much. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I want to just kind of echo and affirm. Really, I think both schools have done a great job of continuing their partnership and their link. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize Dr. Aaron Marston, who kind of was a little bit of the architect of that. So I did want to make sure that we recognize Dr. Marston.
Thank you.
Laying that foundational work that I think both Danny and Vicente are continuing to build on, and we'll take it to the next level. So great job.
Thank you very much. And as we always say, today is Tuesday. We know you've got to get ready for tomorrow. So if you would like to leave, you have our permission. We don't have very much more on the board, but you may be excused if you would like to. And thank you so much for coming. All right. And so with that, board members, we are down to the consent agenda items. And for the sake of those who are listening and don't have an agenda, our consent agenda items: adoption of the GCC board meeting minutes, 5/2/23, personnel consent agenda, purchases over 30,000, revision board policy 06-19, title 9, non-discrimination harassment, revised curriculum list, agreement between Weave Incorporated and Community Collaborative Charter School, dashboard alternative school status stats, Sacramento, Saba, GCC facilities use agreement, contract fee schedule, GCC professional curriculum development rates and substitute salary schedule for 23 and 24, and revised job description, special education program coordinator. Don't see Mr. Crawford, he's not here. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on any of the items? Any discussion at this point? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call. Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Block,
Yes.
Jack Turner,
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So the consent agenda items have been approved by all board members who are present. And that brings us down to board comments. Board comment.
I just think the presentations are always excellent. Every meeting that we have, I feel really, really good about the results.
Yes. Yes.
I second that.
Second.
It's, and I know that it's a lot of work preparing for the presentation.
Oh, yes.
And I know you're absolutely right. They have to go back and
And get ready.
yes, they do. They're
Yes,
very, very impressive. Thank you.
yes. We are getting ready for graduations and all of the school events. Now, the very next one is the 19th. That's the end of the school year event. How many? Are you gonna be there? You will be there?
No.
Oh, you will be leaving. Okay, so I will be in attendance with
I
that.
get to carry the torch.
I'll carry the torch. I'll carry the torch. Mr. Block will be there.
Oh, okay, two.
Magic, I don't know, I haven't talked with him, depends on how he's doing, so we shall see. Superintendent, anything from you?
No, Madam President, again, I think a great meeting, really enjoyed the presentations and looking forward to Friday.
Yep, that's gonna be a big one. And again, we're so proud of you and all the work that you're doing, that you did. And we know you probably don't want to leave, but we know with your new schedule, you have to leave. So we certainly appreciate all the work that you've been doing with Accent and the work that you will be doing with WASC and TICMAC and all of those things. So it's just a continuation. Thank you very much. I see him looking at his gifts, so. What do we got there?
Golf balls.
Golf
They
ball.
know they're all
Hey,
this.
no,
I
I said it.
Hey, we got golf balls.
They sure do. Thank you so much, schools, for, you really don't have to do this, but we do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, anything else for the good of the organization? No, well, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Moving adjourned.
Move adjourned second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meetings adjourned.